Leadership theories. This is a quick study on basic leadership theories. A quote from John Maxwell says, "Everything rises and falls on leadership." So leadership is an important topic for us to study as business professionals. Let's explore what some of these theories state. Before we go into the theories, I'd like to alert you to the fact that we offer training and coaching for project management and also leadership topics. Go to pmsucceed.com, take a look at some of the courses we have going on and some of the study aids and materials that we make available. Leadership basics. There are two main theories in early studies, trait theory and behavior theory. We'll be taking a look at both of those. Trait theory looks at qualities of a leader, and behavior theory explores actions of a leader. Now, before we get into any of these theories, let's take a look at another overarching theory that has stood the test of time. Whether it is correct or not is highly debatable. The great man theory. Leaders are born. Born traits make a leader. You either have it or not. What do you believe? Put a comment below and tell me what exactly you think of the great man theory. Do you think it's true that leaders are born? John Maxwell often jokes about someone who said leaders are born. And he jokes, of course, leaders are born. I don't want to meet an unborn leader. They have to be born. But of course, the theory espouses the fact or the supposed fact that if you are not a born leader, you cannot be a leader. What do you think? Drop a comment below. Let's explore the leadership trait theory. In general, it consists of various theories, and they look at traits that leaders have. So Francis Galton, he believed that leadership was generational and passed on from one generation to another. He believed that it had to do with physical properties of the individual and psychological attributes as well. Early in the day, the U.S. Marine Corps looked at intelligence, values, and energy as being traits of a great leader. Edwin Gheselli put together a very robust assortment of traits of leaders: the need for achievement, the drive to achieve something in life, intelligence, decisiveness, self-confidence, initiative, and supervisory, the ability to supervise individuals. Paul von Hindenburg in the early 1900s espoused these characteristics of individuals: bright, dull, lazy, and energetic. And in his viewpoint, those with the highest level of skills, who were bright and also at the same time energetic, were better qualified to lead others in the army, as it were. Edwin Gheselli evaluated 300 managers from 90 different businesses in the United States, and he identified those 6 traits I showed you on the previous slide: the need for achievement, intelligence, decisiveness, self-confidence, having a positive self-image as a capable and effective person, initiative, being a self-starter, getting jobs done with minimal supervision, and the ability to get the job done through others. Now, taking a look at this assortment of 6 characteristics, some of them seem familiar because a few of these traits have been expanded upon in other theories. So, taking a look at these 6 traits of leadership, my question to you is, on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you? Why don't you pause the recording and do that? And on the next slide, I'll show you what exactly these numbers mean. Adding up your number, what is the band of your score? If you got anywhere between a 9 to a 10 in the individual questions, you rank highly. 7 and 8, closer to the high zone. But if you got anywhere 4 and below, that is low. The overall trait score of 54 to 60, outstanding. 6 to 29, needs improvement. 30 to 41, good. And 42 to 53, very good. Now, my question upon this is it possible you give this form to someone else to fill so that you get someone else's viewpoint on these traits for you? That will always be a better way to do it. Get someone else involved and you get a lot more realistic score when you get peers or supervisors to do it. Paul von Hindenburg, dimensions of leadership. He viewed these individuals in the German army as being either bright, energetic, dull, lazy, and paired bright with the attribute of being either energetic or lazy, and dull with the attribute of being energetic or lazy. So some individuals fell into the bright and energetic section. Some fell into the bright and lazy section. Some fell into the dull and lazy section. Those were left to work their own future out. And some fell into the dull and energetic section. Some people were put on the front lines of battle. Some people were made more of the intelligence officers, and they were given different roles to play based on their attributes. Those who were bright and energetic were made field commanders. Those who were energetic but dull were made frontline soldiers. Those who were bright and lazy were made staff officers, and those who were dull and lazy were left alone to work out their future. Let's talk about leadership behavior theories. The theories that we will look at here are from Kurt Lewin, who you may have heard about in our studies in the past, Ralph Stockdale, Rennis Likert, and Blake and Mouton. Let's take a look at Kurt Lewin first of all. Kurt Lewin espoused 3 styles of leadership. Remember, this is how the leader leads, things the leaders do. Leaders are either democratic and participative, or they are autocratic, authoritarian, or they are delegative. We refer to that now as laissez-faire. Ralph Stockdale from Ohio State, he talks about an initiating structure and consideration. We'll take a look at that later on to expand on that. And Likert from the Michigan Survey Research Center looked at those leaders who are job-centered and those who are employee-centered. Blake and Mouton have a similar breakdown. Those leaders who are the country club leaders, social in orientation, or in stark contrast, the sweatshop leader who believes in products, beating people over the head with a stick to get the job done, perhaps, versus a fully functioning leader, a 360, well-rounded leader, if you will. And then we have the impoverished leader. We'll take a look at these one by one. So, Ohio State, Hemphill and Coons, 1957, and Stockdale, 1963. They espouse the belief that there are 2 kinds of leadership behaviors: initiating structure, and by initiating structure, we're talking about task behaviors. Consideration refers to relationship behaviors. Even today, you see some leaders with a task leaning. They believe in tasks being done more than relationships being built. Later on, these 2 were seen to be on a blend: extreme task versus extreme relationship. But at first, when these came out, they looked at these as two stark characteristics. Either you are initiating structure or you are consideration approach leader. So at first, they were conceived of as two distinct and independent behaviors. But since then, these have been seen to be on a blend, on a continuum. University of Michigan studies with Likert. Two types of leadership behavior: employee orientation, relationship behaviors, or production orientation, task behaviors. These were conceived of as opposite ends of one continuum, later reconceived as two independent orientations. Today, we're a lot smarter in how we see these. It's very situational, isn't it? Now, Blake and Mouton, they had a rather robust assortment of leadership characteristics. And taking a look at this grid with the following characteristics, where on the left, we can see those who had a low concern for task and a high concern for interpersonal relationships. In other words, in this dimension, going that way, we'll look at relationships, and this, going that way, we look at tasks. So let's put a label here. The label is relationships, and going this way, tasks. And like I said, in the top left, we have the country club manager on a scale of 1 to 9, 1 being task-oriented, 9 being relationship-oriented. They have a low concern for task accomplishment with a high concern for interpersonal relationships. On the top right, we have team management. Strong emphasis on both tasks and relationships. A high degree of participation and teamwork satisfies the need of followers to be involved and committed to work. The bottom left, we have the worst of the worst, the impoverished manager. The impoverished manager has low concern for people and low concern for tasks. The bottom right, we have authority/compliance. In other words, we call this the sweatshop manager. And the sweatshop manager places heavy emphasis on task and job and very little requirements or attention on people. So it's all about job and little focus on people. Right here in the middle, we have the middle of the road management. We call those compromisers. These are people who would compromise. They don't want to be looked at as bad. They don't want to go off on the deep end of being relationship oriented either. It says compromisers, intermediate concern for task and people, avoids conflict, and emphasizes moderate levels of both. Expedient, middle ground, soft pedals, disagreement, and swallows convictions in the interest of progress. Now, another two definitions have been added to the original 5. We have the paternalism or maternalism manager, a leader who uses both the 1-9 and the 9-1 styles, but does not integrate them. We call this the benevolent dictator. So we have those individuals swinging between country club management and sweatshop management. And then we have The last one, opportunism, uses any combination of the basic 5 styles for the purpose of personal advancement. So they're not necessarily after a relationship or after the job's been done. They're thinking about themselves, and they could be either here, next minute they're there, next minute they could be here, they could be here, or they could be here. You could look at these as being chameleons, and it's really all for their benefit at the end of the day. Next, we have contingency theories, and this is where we see the Blake and Mouton model blending. There is no single way of leading. Every leadership style should be based on certain situations. There are certain people who perform well in certain places, but at minimal performance when taken out of their element. So it's really all about knowing what approach to use and when. We also have transactional leadership theories. These are known as exchange theories of leadership. An example of this is from Victor Vroom, who you may have read about in your studies. People put in more effort and remain productive. Why? Because they expect to be rewarded. They put in the effort, they expect a reward. Transactional theories are characterized by a transaction made between the leader and the followers. In fact, the theory values a positive and mutually beneficial relationship. A person interacts with others and is able to create a solid relationship that results in a high percentage of trust. That trust will result in an increase of motivation, both intrinsic and extrinsic, in both leaders and followers. I hope you enjoyed this review of basic leadership theories. Don't forget, visit pmsucceed.com. Sign up for any training, coaching, or mentoring that you need. Thank you and take care. Bye for now.